I want to share with our, if it's okay with you, with our viewers and our listeners, at a very high level, uh, one of the techniques to help us harmonize our heart and our brain, because it's through that harmonization that's where we go into our heart and ask the questions of what's right for us. This is where we trigger the powerful states of our immune system thrives when we harmonize our heart and our brain. Our anti-aging hormones kick in to high gear when we harmonize the heart and the brain. So, you okay if we
Yeah,
do
go
some of
for it.
that?
We're begging for it. What else can we say? I mean, go for it, Greg.
Well, well, we've done a little background now. We know we're living a time of extremes. The old world is gone. We're in a new normal. We're shifting from a world of separation and conflict to a world of cooperation and union. And that applies to our bodies as well. So if you've worked with the Institute of Heart Math on your programs, they have refined in the laboratory into a few simple steps what indigenous people sometimes go through for days in ceremony. And the ceremony is good, but a lot of us don't have lives that lend itself to us having days in ceremony. So the first thing, when we want to connect our mind and our heart together, we have to shift our awareness from our mind into our heart. And when I ask people to do that, I can see it in an audience. I say, okay, I'm going to invite you to move your awareness to your mind, your heart. People say, okay, we're in our hearts now. But what they really are doing is they're in their mind thinking like they're in their heart, but they're still in their mind doing it. This is the key. I think the hardest thing for people in the Western world, how do you get into your heart? When I'm with the monks and the nuns and the indigenous people, they have the same problem, Lulu. And what they say is this. They say, if you can touch your heart center gently, in a way that's comfortable for you. That is one of the keys of moving into your heart. Here's the reason why: because your awareness will always go to the place in your body where you feel the touch. So when I'm in the Yucatan, for example, the Mayan people, every morning they wake up and they greet one another with an open palm over their heart. They're calling your attention to the heart. They do this in the Middle East as well. Buddhists make the prayer mudra like this, and they physically touch their heart. That's another way of doing this. Or we can simply use a finger or two and just touch, just like this, whatever feels appropriate. This will call our awareness from our mind into our heart. And we generally do this when our eyes are closed so that we are shutting out the diversions and the distractions of the outside world. But if people do that, they can't see the program. So this is the first step. You move your awareness from your mind, your heart. When you do this, you send a very powerful signal to your body that something has just shifted. You are now focusing and turning your awareness inward rather than focus on the outer world. First step. Second step, once you are in this space, your awareness is right here. You begin to breathe a little slower than usual, maybe 5 seconds on the inhale, the exhale, or whatever is comfortable. That slowing of the breath sends a second very powerful signal to the body. Because the only time, Lulu, that we typically breathe slower like that is when we are in a place that is safe, where we feel safe. So when you slow your breath, you're sending a signal, you're saying, I'm in a place that's safe. And that safety switch, it turns off certain mechanisms in the body and turns others on. It turns off the stress and fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol production. It turns those off, and it turns on very powerful immune response, and it opens the door to the next step that we're about to experience here. So, second step. The third step is once we're in this space, in our heart, breathing slower, we begin to feel, to the best of our ability, the feelings that send a powerful signal from our heart to our brain. And the scientists at HeartMath have found there are specific words in the English language. So other languages may use other words. But in English, the word appreciation, the word gratitude, the word compassion, and the word care. If we can feel care for anything or anyone, if we can feel appreciation for anything or anyone to the best of our ability in that moment, If we can feel compassion, gratitude, what that does is it begins to send a very powerful signal from the heart to the brain. It's a low frequency signal optimized at zero point 0.1 hertz. It's a very low frequency. This is the frequency that whales communicate with in the ocean. You can't hear it, but it is this signal that harmonizes the optimization between the heart and the brain. You have to be in your heart first for it to work. So if you're in your head feeling these things, it's okay, but it's not going to have the same effect. So shift your awareness into your heart, number one. Number two, slow the breathing. Number three, feel the feeling of compassion for anything or anyone, gratitude, care, appreciation, and continue breathing for about 3 minutes. And what this does is it sets up, and you can actually measure it, Leo. It's amazing. You can see the waves of the communication between the heart and the brain. Every moment of every day, right now, there's a conversation going on between the heart and the brain. And the quality of the conversation is determined by the emotions that we're feeling. We choose the emotions, we change the conversation. And that conversation from the heart to the brain determines what chemistry the brain releases into the body. And this is where my work and Joe Dispenza's work and Bruce's work, Heart Math, this is where they all come together. So when do you do something like this? You're creating what is called heart-brain coherence. It's a beautiful thing to do before you sleep at night so that your body can regenerate from coherence. It's a beautiful thing to do before you start your day. If you just watch the 6 o'clock news and you are feeling especially stressed, if you're having a difficult day with your husband or your wife, or you're going to have a difficult conversation in the boardroom at work or with your kids, marriage and family counseling practices, they do this all the time. Military service people coming back from the battlefield to reintegrate into their families and societies. All this is optimizing, giving us optimal access to the neural circuits between the heart and the brain. It's not just about the heart, not just about the brain. I've been a scientist most of my adult life. Scientists say the brain is where the action is. I've been around New Thought, New Age, metaphysical people most of my adult life. They say the heart is where the action is. Both of those are important, but they're incomplete until we can marry them together. This is where we find what it means to be human in a way that no other form of life can do. Intentionally, on demand, we can access this powerful, extended neural network so that we are optimized to deal in a healthy way with a changing world. And then it becomes up to us how we apply this. Once you're in this space, this is where you ask the big questions of life. Once you're in this space, this is where you